Hi, Meredith.
Hey, Tamara.
Thank you for talking to us today about RunningWorks.
Thanks for having us. I think it's going to be a great project with
I want
Beautiful
to
Together.
hear, tell us what you've been doing to date, what you're going to be doing, how we're going to be able to work together.
When we originally started the RunningWorks program, there was only one program, and it was 2 days a week at the Urban Ministry Center on Tuesdays and Fridays.
And this is in Charlotte.
This is in Charlotte, yes. And that was focused mainly on just homeless men and women, usually most of them were over 23, 25. And if they had kids, they would bring their kids. The same values we accrue through running, discipline, confidence, teamwork, self-respect, they can also accrue through running. And
right.
So we're a value-based, mentorship-driven organization that has changed the mission to focus more on all abuse, neglect, poverty, and homelessness, with families, kids cycling out of DSS custody at 17.
Right.
In North Carolina, it's at age 17.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
Right.
That children cycle out of foster care at 17.
And I actually did not know that. Our team of homeless men and women were the ones that told me that we needed to make a preemptive strike, that the values that they've accrued at RunningWorks of team and of family and the confidence that they've gotten and just the sense of teamwork. They said maybe if they had found RunningWorks earlier, they wouldn't be in the situation they're in. They wouldn't still be in a shelter at, one was age 50, one of the ones that was really pushing for us to go to the different systems, to DSS and to foster care. He grew up in the system.
Right, in the foster care system.
In the foster care system and through DSS when he was taken away from his parents. So he said, look, these kids can really benefit from what you're doing at RunningWorks, and I think that you should go younger.
Yeah.
And so now we work with children in DSS custody that are a demographic anywhere from 4 to 18. They're all on site at this one little house in Rock Hill, South Carolina. So we do have 6 programs now all over North and South Carolina.
Amazing.
And the ones that are cycling out of foster care or have run away, some of them have been in 11 foster homes. It's really tragic. They cycle out at 17 and they go to a place called the Relatives On-Ramp. It's a safe place. When they're taken out of foster care, they're told, they're literally put on a bus and told to find a safe place. Right. And this is one of those safe places.
Yeah, weren't you telling me that they were put on a bus with and told to go, there's a couple places that you can go,
yes,
but only for X amount of time.
Right. There's a couple places. There's one in Charlotte also where if they run away, they can stay for 2 weeks, but only 2 weeks. So then what do?
Yeah.
If they're out of there after 2 weeks, they either are going to go back to the horrible environment they were in,
right,
and that's sometimes leaving their original parents, not just foster parents,
yeah,
but they're going to go back to a negative environment, or they stay on the street, and they literally live on the street. They're not shelter eligible because they're too young.
What is the age that you can be in a shelter?
I mean, we've had runaways as young as 8 and 10 years old.
Wow.
So they can't go into the adult shelters.
No.
But
they're not necessarily safe, right?
You can go at 17 to the shelters in North Carolina, but a lot of the men and women that we help, it can be a really negative environment. There's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of drugs. There's and that's not just a stigma. It's I've seen it.
Yeah.
There's things that happen in the showers there. It can be really dangerous in the shelter, and often that they're subjected to a demographic that it's just going to get them into more trouble because they have to try and play along. They're trying to play, they're trying to fit in.
Yeah.
So sometimes they fall in with the wrong crowd.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one of the things that you're doing with RunningWorks, and just to kind of state this in terms of RunningWorks, it sounds like, it's a running program, but it's so much more. It's not just the values,
right?
But you guys are also helping getting people job interviews, getting into homes,
bus passes to get to the job interviews, which that's actually one of our biggest costs is transportation.
Right.
But we're
it's a major cost, right?
It's a major cost.
Yeah, it's not just
especially as the program's gotten larger, and
yeah,
we're now serving between 70 to 100 people in a week. Where before, if we just had the one program, we have programs every day now. Before, if we just had the one program and we were giving bus passes, it was a little different. Now it's become a huge cost for us.
Right.
At the Relatives On-Ramp, like today, we'll have 15 kids that all need bus passes.
Yeah.
And as long as they come and they start doing the next right thing and they sit through the life skills. So every program follows the same curriculum, even with the younger kids, even with the little ones. They can be 4 years old, and we still. Everybody has the same shirt on because we want them to feel that concept of team and family, and a lot of them have never had that, have never been anywhere where they can feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves. Mm-hmm. So we get the clothes out.
Which, by the way, just for a moment, is massive.
Yes.
It's one of the major reasons we started Beautiful Together was the idea that many of us, take for granted that you belong to these people. That even if you don't get along or you fight, you know what, this is my family, for better or worse, you know, and you always have them, you know, and one of the things that has always concerned me greatly about foster care is that people think, well, when you get to 17 or 18 or whatever, that foster care system did the best it could to get you into homes, to grow you, but now you are grown,
true, right?
But for the rest of your life, where do you go for like Thanksgiving and holidays?
Right,
and
that's what we do at RunningWorks. So every program follows the same curriculum, and we get the closeout, everybody dresses the same. We create that team and family concept, and then following every single run, no matter where it is, we do a life skills section. And the life skills section's usually about 45 minutes, and they sit still in a round group discussion, no crosstalk, but they're able to come and bring their issues. If they're working on something that day, then they're allowed to bring it to the group. No one is allowed to judge. It's a no judgment zone. No excuses.
I want more of those.
A lot of them tell me that since they can't afford therapy, that this is their therapy. You know, that group time is their therapy because everybody's gotten so close. We often are a dysfunctional family, but everyone's gotten so close.
Just like everybody else.
Yes. that family of choice concept is huge, and that's what I think is so great about Beautiful Together, and that I think it's because we are more beautiful together. And that's what our group is trying to accomplish as well. We do family dinners following the runs. We have breakfasts. We have, you know, 'cause that even learning manners in that setting and having everybody sitting together and, you know, just that camaraderie and that group time. We do a family dinner every Wednesday night. So that's pretty cool.
And you speak about dinner. You are also doing a lot of feeding, right?
Yes.
Just generally.
Right. So one of our oldest participants, he's been there since day one. His name's Chuck. He just got housing after 9 years on the street, which is incredible.
Wow.
Incredible.
9 years of being homeless.
9 years, and we've been working with him for 4.
Wow.
So it's pretty amazing. The structure was always a little scary for Chuck, but now he's loving it. You know, but that's once we get into the housing, then he needs shower curtain. He needs, you know, he needs food. We go grocery shopping for him. They do get food stamps often, but the thing that I found with the younger kids is most of them their parents have other children. So if they've been disconnected from their parents and their parents get food stamps based on them, they're going to feed the younger kids first.
Right.
So that's a problem that we have had. So, you know, James, the one that I was talking about that is only 18, I met him at the Relatives On-Ramp because he was starving.
And the Relatives On-Ramp was the place where people go when they cycle out of foster care.
16 to 24, correct. So, you know, he and his girlfriend Xavier were sitting there, and they just looked so despondent and dejected that I walked over and started talking to him and tried to, and I was like, hey, do you want to come to RunningWorks? That's just how I do it. So I've done it since day one. I just kind of don't take no for an answer. And so I walked over and said, hey, do you guys want to come to RunningWorks? And they said, we're starving. Like if we try and run or walk right now, which sometimes we call it walking work, so everybody's got to start somewhere. But they're like, if we try and go exercise right now, we haven't eaten in 2 days. And I said, well, how about this? If you come, I will get food for you, you know, I'll feed you. And we have found with that demographic now, with the kids that are 16 to 24, if we bring food to the program, we get a bigger turnout.
Wow,
because they're all really hungry. And they're not.
I mean, they're hungry at that age anyway, but being hungry and homeless and now running.
Well, I've also found that they're less likely to use the resources that we have to feed in Charlotte, you know, with the shelters and they just haven't figured it all out yet. They're not capable of finding the free meals. Like some of my older guys will eat 3 times for lunch, you know, because they know they can go to this church, they can go to this soup kitchen, and they can go to the Urban Ministry Center. So they'll eat 3 different times.
They got to figure it out.
So that's the younger ones. That's something that we're working on. Like, did you know you could eat at the Urban Ministry Center? Did you know that you can, you know, go to this church on Thursday where my program director is the manager of the soup kitchen?
Well, because that would also be so overwhelming especially if you don't have any technology. Like if you're not like on the internet at home, you know what I mean? Like, how do you even find all that out?
So, you know, in finding resources and putting out job applications and, you know, figuring out what shelters are available, figuring out where they can take a shower, which is huge. They haven't been as well versed at finding a good resource. They're always asking me to look stuff up for them, but we do have computers that they can use, and I'm trying to teach them to be a little more, take some initiative, you know? And sometimes the job applications that are online, they just completely throw them for a loop.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, I don't know how to fill it out online. So that's something that we do. It's a resource we provide to sit them down and say, okay, because now that's pretty much the only way you can apply. There's some places you can walk in,
Newspaper,
but it's rare.
And you know, one of the things I think that RunningWorks does very well is tries to actively dispel the myths around homelessness, and pretty specifically as it relates to children, you know, cycling out of foster care. One of the biggest myths there is about foster care is that these kids are bad,
right?
Or they're broken, or there's something wrong with them. Where in fact the reason they're in foster care is because they were neglected, they were abused.
Yes.
You know, that is the only reason. Those are the reasons,
right?
You know, or if there was some tragic accident where there is no family. But for the most part, that's the vast majority of the situation. So these kids, you know, and go into foster care at any age, lots of different ages. So now they're suddenly completely on their own. And with your experience of working with these children, do you feel like these myths apply, or you?
I feel like we're really trying to challenge the stigma associated with the homeless and with other marginalized populations, not just the homeless. You know, the kids in DSS custody, like you're saying, they didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
You know, they're just there because they have had some sort of abuse, neglect, or extreme poverty, and they haven't been cared for.
Right.
So often they go from there into foster care. And, you know, the myth, like you said, is if you've been in 11 foster homes, you're the common denominator, there's something wrong with you. Right. But really our system is failing.
Moving you around and around.
And they're getting moved around. And often what happens is they'll go back to their parents for a brief time, and then they end up back in foster care. So then they're put with a different family. That's the story we've been told by many of them. They talk, you know, within our small group about, you know, this is what happened. I ended up in Hawaii. You know, I mean, you've got some crazy stories.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important to challenge that stigma. The other thing is people always think that everybody's panhandling. Everybody is, you know, standing under the bridge with a paper bag. That's what our media portrays as a homeless person. That they're all dirty, and that is so far from the truth. And that they can't read.
Right.
You know. They're so smart. We have brilliant people in our program, and if they found their way to us, then they do want to change their lives.
Right. And that's part of, like, when you work to help them find family and reconnect with family, part of it is you being able to show their family, look how hard they're trying.
Right. And we've had many family members come to us and say, oh my, even contact us on Facebook if they're far away, like, oh my gosh, Chuck looks like he's doing great. Wow, he's really, that structure isn't frightening him this time. Or with James, you know, James has 3 jobs now and got him with an ankle monitor. And I use him as an example in the program to all the others. Like, if you think you can't get a job, James was able to get is working 3 jobs right now with an ankle monitor. I don't want to hear it. There's no excuses, you know?
Yeah.
So
and so it's the idea of, like, giving a chance.
Right.
Giving a chance.
Loving them before they can love themselves. And that's the way, and that's what, it's a great partnership with Beautiful Together, because I really feel like, well, that feel like that's my mission in life. I want to believe in them until they can believe in themselves, and I'm not going to give up on them. One of the reasons that I wanted to start the program in the first place is my mom always taught me that whatever I could accomplish, no matter how big or small, you know, if you want to run 135 miles in 130-degree weather, you can do that.
And
there was just no second guessing it. It didn't matter what crazy idea I had.
Yeah.
She always told me I could accomplish it, no matter as long as there was discipline, hard work, and, you know, you get out what you put in. So that's one of the things that I'm trying to instill in our team, is that and even if I have to believe in them before they believe in themselves,
right,
then that's something that I want to do. I want them to really believe that they can set their mind to something and do it, as long as they work hard for it.
Yeah.
So I'm no dream crusher. I'm going to tell, you know, if someone tells me they want to be a doctor, okay, well, a goal without a plan is just a wish. What do we need to do to get you there? Do you have your GED? What classes do you know? So we'll start laying out a plan. We do a lot of goal setting in the life skills. And I think that's
I love
really
that
important.
stuff, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm such a spreadsheet, like a process. But that's where that's how you get there.
That
is how you do
their
it.
Goals. And you know, we do short term, long term. I want them to make a list and prioritize. And it can be, you know, it could even be that they want housing, but they can't get it yet. So there's that, you know, there's that disconnect that, okay, well, it may be a couple months down the road because I need to start saving money.
Right.
So that's something, even finances.
Let's put a structure in place.
We help with that, and the life skills. You know, do you need a bank account? Do you have an ID? Just these things people don't think about.
Right.
So a lot of them don't have their social security card. They don't have their IDs. They don't have their birth certificates.
Yeah. Let's
that
create an
makes
identity.
Everything much more difficult to get a job.
Yeah, of course.
Especially if they have any kind of police record, which we're also trying to help that. But one thing that we found in the program that's huge is because they're now racing on the weekends and they have someplace to go,
Yeah.
multiple days a week, 4 days a week, they can, depending on their age, they can come to our program. It's keeping them out of trouble.
Yeah.
So we've seen a rapid decline in court cases and things that we actually have to help fix because
Yeah.
they're just not getting into trouble anymore.
Yeah.
On Saturday mornings, they have to be up bright and early with us.
Right.
So they're not staying out all late,
Yeah.
trying to get in.
Absolutely.
Look for trouble.
Absolutely.
So we have seen a rapid decline in that, especially with the younger kids.
Yeah. Which is, I mean,
Anywhere
again,
under 24.
and starting
Yeah.
now, what that saves
Really
people
important.
down the line, and society, the effect in society.
We actually had one of the district attorneys contact us and say that he had a repeat offender. It was one of our guys, a repeat offender for years, and that he noticed once he started doing RunningWorks, that he no longer is in his courtroom anymore.
Wonderful.
You know?
Awesome.
He's like,
you're
this
welcome.
Is great. Yeah, this is great. So
Consider contributing.
Yeah.
So we had talked earlier about like one of the major needs that would be really helpful with this population, with these children cycling out of foster care, especially because of some of their circumstances, would be just
and their lack of ability to find the resources that they need.
Right.
The older ones are a little better at it.
right. But the ones who are just fresh and trying to
Yes.
figure it all out
Brand new on the street.
would be able to not only be able to have some place to go, but some place to literally shower and get clean and be able to present themselves and just from a flat out dignity perspective,
Yes.
like that
They'll
alone.
Just feel better about themselves.
Just feel better about
Yeah.
themselves, but also be able to
Their
present
hands clean,
better,
go to job interviews. Because
stay healthier.
when James and Xavier were still on the street and they were applying for jobs, they had nowhere to shower, but they hadn't found the herb yet. So that I was like, okay, in order to get your job, you need to shower every morning, but then they have to wait in these lines,
Right.
and it makes them late for work.
And the
They're
lines
late for
are at the
work.
shelters?
Yes.
Okay.
So even if they're not staying at the shelter, there's a place where they can go, but there's huge lines. There's people getting in fights all the time. They have to wait, so it interrupts whether they've got to work at a certain point. That doesn't put them to the front of the queue.
Right.
So having a place for them after races and after the program to actually clean up,
Right.
and then maybe go hunt for jobs or that's huge.
Yeah, and then because just thinking about the cycle, because this is what you're talking about so often is just the cycle of poverty.
Yes.
Like you lose one
Extreme
piece.
poverty.
Extreme poverty. Yeah. Because you're saying a lot of these people are living in physical boxes or the
Yeah.
corner of a storage center that nobody knows they're in,
Right.
or
They're
things like
starving.
that. Yeah. And like starving,
The younger ones
not
are
just
literally
kind of
they're
hungry.
really, really hungry.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're always hungry. And
Right.
I don't know. I told you that sometimes with the younger ones, we bring food to the program because they're always hungry.
Right.
So we try and bring something every time. And it has been more of a draw for them once they realize that we're going to bring food. And actually, our development director, her mom cooks for them now sometimes. And she brings all kinds of stuff that they can pass around. It's probably the best meal they have all week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's
or
so
we've ordered
significant.
pizzas or
Yeah.
the other cool thing that we do in the program is for everybody's birthday, whenever it's somebody's birthday, we do cupcakes and lemonade, and we sing and try and make them feel again that family
I belong.
that
Yeah.
they belong and that we're more beautiful together and
Yeah.
that they have some place that really cares, someone who really cares about
Right,
them.
right.
That's got to make this effort to have a birthday party for them, and everybody gets involved and it's their day.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
They probably have never had that.
Right. But it's
Right.
back to that idea of just belonging, dignity, and belief. You love them before they love themselves. You
Yes.
believe in them before they believe in themselves. I love that. Well, we are very, very excited to get started on the project of getting you
Thank
guys
you so much
a
for
shower
doing it.
and towels and supplies.
Towels
and,
are another thing.
Yeah. I mean, all of it.
Towels are so ratty.
Yeah.
We tried to do a towel drive before, but that towels are huge too.
Yeah. We want to have a whole collective of being able to provide them with this basic need.
Yes.
That obviously will have a huge impact for
that
this
would be
entire
huge.
cycle.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
We're
no,
really
thank
looking
you.
forward to it.
Thank you for everything you're doing. It's amazing.